Well, if you have been doing furniture flipping and furniture makeovers for a while, you already know that you're going to have a project that does not go well. For those of you who are just starting, realize you're going to have a project sooner or later that does not go well. And that was the case of this project. It did not, the vision I had for it just did not materialize. I don't know if I was using the wrong products, but everything can be salvaged. And in the end, this turned out very, very nice, and I'm very pleased with it, although it wasn't what I first intended, but everything can be salvaged. And so when one of you runs into a project and you start to get a little uneasy or dismayed that it's not going well, just realize you can fix it, and in the end, it will be beautiful. So follow along and let's just see this journey of this furniture makeover from the next season. And if you like what you see, have learned anything, please subscribe. It'll help me out, and it just helps me to grow my channel, just like it does a lot of other channels. So here we go, and let's see how this all works out. So I'm getting ready to start on this new dresser I picked up. I've already cleaned it inside and out. And to update it a little bit, what I'm going to try to do is this trim here, let me move the camera over, and this trim here, I'm going to try to take that off. I'll start with this one here first and see how that goes. Also, if doing this, and let me kind of like tip this camera a little bit. Well, I have to change the leg. So let me pull this camera over to here. Notice how we have this leg right here. Well, this overlaps this area that I'm going to take off. So I'm either going to have to make legs if I get all this off, or I've got this leg off of another dresser that I kept. I replaced it. I actually made a custom base, but this does not overlap. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, but I am going to try to start taking off this trim. Okay, wish me luck. Let's just see how this goes. I have to admit, when I do something like this, it makes me nervous. And in starting to take off this trim, I quickly realized that one, this is going to be a lot of work, and two, I'm going to have a lot of patching to do. So I hope it's going to be worth it. I think it will be, but this is going to end up being probably a little bit more work than I anticipated. But let's just see how it turns out. Okay, I finally got this trim off. I've got a lot of sanding to do. The screws weren't holding this top very well, so I put some Bondo on it. There's one of the pieces. A lot of Bondo down there on that wood. No, it's not really wood. What is it? Fiberboard? I forget what it's called. It's not very good wood. So, at any rate, got it all off. Bondo time, sand time. So it's going to take several batches of Bondo to fill in all of the damage that I've done by taking off the trim. I wish it went as fast in real life as it is in this video, but unfortunately it didn't. But a lot of Bondo. And once I get all the Bondo on and it's dried, then it will be time to start sanding. Well, I've got all the Bondo on. Looking good, isn't it? I'm thinking this is going to be a lot of work. So we got it up there. there, there. We have it down there. Everywhere where I took off trim, we've got Bondo. So for large flat surfaces, I tend to use my Orbital sander. You know, I've got two sanders, an Orbital and a SurfPrep. And I just find that the Orbital seems to cut quicker and faster than the SurfPrep does. So I'm using 120 at the moment and trying to get the majority of this stuff off, and then I'll come back with higher grits as needed. Where the SurfPrep is more useful and easier to use than an Orbital is on smaller, flatter surfaces or surfaces that have an edge, like the top of the dresser and the face. So this is where it's really easy to use the SurfPrep and to get into these smaller, tighter areas. And it's a lot easier to control than a spinning disc on an Orbital. So I'm starting with 120 grit here, and will work my way up to higher grits as needed. Well, I finally got all the repairs done, all sanded. There's a lot of repair. Let me show you the top. I've got both Bondo and DAP Wood Filler on here. There are just some little nicks that I found later, and I just didn't need to mix up some more Bondo. So yeah, so here we go. Get you on the other side. Looks about like the same, but so we're going to, I still have to actually clean off all the dust, and I actually have to clean out the inside again because I've got a whole bunch of stuff in there. Okay, now I put the drawers in, and it's basically is ready for the spray tent. So as I said, I'm going to spray the dresser with the drawers in. It makes it a little bit easier than trying to do all the drawers individually. I'm using a Graco D360 variable speed sprayer. I'm also using Sherwin-Williams Extreme Bond Primer, obviously in white. So after I have sprayed and it's dried a little bit, I can get the drawers out, and then I have to touch up where I missed, where the doors covered up part of the frame and the sprayer couldn't reach. Okay, I'm going to sand down the primer on these drawers with a used 220 sanding sheet, and then once I get them all sanded, then I'll be ready to paint. Just a light sanding, just to smooth it out a little bit. So I'm going to be trying an experiment on this dresser, and which is why I'm painting the drawers outside of the dresser. Like I primed them all inside the dresser, I really wanted to paint at least one drawer outside just to see if what I planned to do was going to look okay or not. I mean, I guess I could have sprayed everything, you know, the black on the drawers in the dresser and saved some time, but I just chose to do it this way. I don't know. Call me silly, but this is what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm trying a little bit of an experiment here. I'm painting this dresser in Sherwin-Williams Tricorn black, and then I am taking some General Finishes Smoky Gray Glaze. I'm finding it's too thick without watering it down to get the effect I want. I just want a subtle effect. I don't want a big glaze on here. I'm just wanting a subtle effect. So I'm still kind of experimenting around and see if I can't get this right. I'm having to apply a lot of water, even though I've watered this down. It seems like I have to be applying a lot of water on top of it. One, I think it's drying awful quick, and so the water's kind of acting like an extender, but it's the deck brush in my opinion, is leaving too much glaze on. And so I'm having to kind of wash it off, so to speak. So I don't know. So we'll see how this is going to work out. So far, I'm becoming more skeptical as I go. This isn't turning out exactly the way I had anticipated. What I was really looking for was a black dresser with almost like a little bit of streaks of gray in it. But this is not working out quite like I thought. So, but we'll get this one drawer done and we'll kind of see what's going on and see if I like it and decide what I'm going to do going forward. Well, I put the first coat of black paint on this dresser, and as you can see, I did not sand this well at all. So off it all comes, and I'm going to have to do it again. That looks horrible, subpar, can't stand it. So I sprayed the first coat of black paint on this dresser, and it highlighted. This is the bad thing about working with black paint. It will highlight every little imperfection you've got. And so you notice that I've got a lot of white all over the dresser. I'll just pull the camera up so you can see it. Where I found imperfections that I thought I had taken care of, but I didn't. So sanded a few places, a little bit more patching on stuff. And so now I decided to hand paint the dresser, the second and maybe the third coat. And on this primer, it's probably not going to cover the first time. So like I said, I decided to hand paint the dresser. And I'm using my favorite brush when I hand paint. It's a Stahlmeister brush, and that in a bottle of water, and I can get a near flawless finish. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the entire dresser using the brush, and hopefully when it's dry, I'm going to see no more imperfections. Okay, so I've got this glaze. I've watered it down. I mixed it up. I was kind of guessing on how much to water it down by, but so I watered it down. I'm going to start applying it. I'm going to apply it in small sections, and we're going to see how this works out. Like I said, if it doesn't work out and I don't like it, I'm just going to hopefully wipe it off. But if I have to put black paint all over it again, then so be it. So let's see what happens. Well, I think my experiment is going a little south. I don't like this glaze. Maybe it's just I'm using it for the wrong purpose, but it's not coming off very easily. It's leaving a lot of glaze on the surface, and I'm eventually going to end up just wiping it off because I can't get it off with a deck brush. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the top of this dresser and see what it looks like, and maybe even the sides. But I'm starting to have my doubts, and I'm thinking that this just may be one of those experiments that's not going to pay off, and it'll be a lesson learned. So this dresser with the gray glaze has turned out to be, in my opinion, a total disaster. It looks, I didn't get the look I was striving for. It just looks like a very bad paint job that, you know, it looks like I just didn't get anything covered over the primer, although it's just gray sitting on top. But, you know, it's below my standards. I certainly wouldn't want to have this in my house, and I doubt if anyone else would either. So I'm going to respray it all black. I'm going to take one last opportunity to see if there's any imperfections, because that black will certainly show it up. And then I'll put the top coat on and I'll finally be done. So lesson learned. So we'll get this one done and on to the next one. Well, here is the resulting makeover. Although I didn't achieve what my initial vision was, it turned out well. I made a lot of mistakes in this refinishing project, a lot of lessons I learned, and but at the end of the day, everything can be fixed, and I'm very pleased with how this turns out. So I hope all of you enjoyed the video and have learned some things, that I have passed some things on to not do, and hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I hope you subscribe, and I'll see you on the next furniture flip from the next season.